Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. I better apologize right up front because our cat Golden has suddenly decided to resume being the talking cat, and you'll be hearing her walk around going meow, meow, meow. I don't know whether you speak cat, but that's what they say most of the time. So you'll have to excuse that. I know that some of you find these outside noises to be distracting, but actually apart from the cat, it's pretty quiet on our hill today, so we're lucky. Now, I did have a request to do a video on communication and how important it is that people communicate, and there is one question that I just want to deal with. Why that somebody made a comment that I seem to be advocating that the only successful relationship is one between a Filipino and a foreigner. Not true. I don't know where they get that. There's a couple of things that people seem to have firmly fixed in their head. That is one of them, that I think that the be and end all of any marriage is one of the people a foreigner. No, I don't think that way, you know. It just happens that I'm a foreigner when I'm here. Actually, most of my life I've felt like I'm a foreigner wherever I am, but let's not go into that, okay? Right, so I don't advocate that, but I deal with that. We deal with that on a daily basis because I'm a foreigner and Beth is not. Now, the other thing that people seem to have a funny idea on is that I don't believe in Christ. I'm a non-believer. And people write and say, you know, it's only the fact that Beth is a firm believer in Jesus Christ that you are gradually getting towards being a believer yourself. Where did you ever get the idea that I don't have any beliefs? Because I have my own beliefs. Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. I better apologize right up front because our cat Golden has suddenly decided to resume being the talking cat, and you'll be hearing her walk around going meow, meow, meow. I don't know whether you speak cat, but that's what they say most of the time. So you'll have to excuse that. I know that some of you find these outside noises to be distracting, but actually apart from the cat, it's pretty quiet on our hill today, so we're lucky. Now, I did have a request to do a video on communication and how important it is that people communicate, and there is one question that I just want to deal with. Why that somebody made a comment that I seem to be advocating that the only successful relationship is one between a Filipino and a foreigner. Not true. I don't know where they get that. There's a couple of things that people seem to have firmly fixed in their head. That is one of them, that I think that the be and end all of any marriage is one of the people a foreigner. No, I don't think that way, you know. It just happens that I'm a foreigner when I'm here. Actually, most of my life I've felt like I'm a foreigner wherever I am, but let's not go into that, okay? Right, so I don't advocate that, but I deal with that. We deal with that on a daily basis because I'm a foreigner and Beth is not. Now, the other thing that people seem to have a funny idea on is that I don't believe in Christ. I'm a non-believer. And people write and say, you know, it's only the fact that Beth is a firm believer in Jesus Christ that you are gradually getting towards being a believer yourself. Where did you ever get the idea that I don't have any beliefs? Because I have my own beliefs. and my own beliefs include the work of Jesus Christ. Now, what I'm not terribly interested in or a follower of is organized religion. I remember that my own parents, Catholic and Protestant. Now, in the time of my parents in the UK is not just one country, it's several countries, and they have been opposed to each other for many, many years. A lot of people lost their lives in the squabble between Ireland and England. A lot of people. I'm Irish by descent. My heritage is Irish, hence the name Flannery, which is actually my family name. My mother's name was Donovan and my father's name Flannery. Now, back in those days, that was a mixed marriage, and it was so controversial at that time for a Protestant to marry a Catholic that was the essence of a mixed marriage. Then later, of course, it became, if it was a black man or a black woman and a white man or a white woman, that became the mixed marriage. But back in my mom's day, it was Protestant and Catholic. And that's because the Catholics and the Protestants I think, mostly in Northern Ireland, had a very rough time trying to get along together and used to kill each other for being different. So that was back then. Now, right now, I have my own beliefs about religion, and mostly they're about not particularly... Sorry, I got a bit distracted there because somebody called in. Actually, not somebody. The mother of Michael called in and said that they are discharging him today. Of course, they won't let him go until the bill is paid, so when we get there, that's what will happen. But anyway, just to quickly recap so that I get it in my own head. My mother and father had a mixed marriage, Catholic and Protestant. And if you're staunch Irish and into the history, then you would know which one was which, who was the Catholic and who was the Protestant, just by their names. I don't know. I don't know whether it was my mother was a Catholic or my father was a Catholic. They never went to church with me. They pushed me out the door, and because I was going to a Catholic school, then I went to church, because on Monday they would take a roll call and they would call my name out, and I would be required to say I went to a 10 o'clock Mass, and I would get an extra point if I said I had Holy Communion. So we never read the Bible. We had what was called a catechism, and we used to memorize things out of the catechism and get points for it as well. And then every, I think, Thursday we used to go around and have a benediction or something. I forget these now. I remember the priest getting that smoking pot and waving it back and forwards and saying Omni Patri, and that's as much as my recollections of religion. I never learned about behaviour. I never learned about anything of any great importance. No, I learned about, did you go to Mass on Sunday? That's what I learned. So that was just to get off, and we got off onto a tangent there, or I did. You didn't do anything, you just sat there and listened, poor thing. Now, communication is what we really started off. I do tend to ramble, sorry. But communication is really important, especially if we're talking about a foreigner and a Filipina having a long-distance relationship, because there's a great deal of trust goes in to this. Now, so how does communication come into this? Well, now it's much more, it's far easier to have a long-distance relationship in many ways than it ever was, because you can go on Kindle and instead of relying on email, which was the last major move forward from letters to email, in that the communication was instant. Right now you have Kindle, and you can look at the person's face and see what they really look like, you know. My wife told a story about how someone that she knew, who was a very, very nice woman, but she'd had, at one point, she'd had a hair lip operation and had a slight scar there. And she didn't tell the person that she had the long-distance relationship about this. And she always had photographs taken which made little of that thing. Now, the communication between those two people was such that it was based on something that was not completely honest, or as the Americans would say, and they have a wonderful way of describing things, she was economical with the truth. Okay, so she didn't tell him. Now, she met him at the airport after months of talking. I think that this was prior to Skype, obviously. And they went and had a meal at the airport. And of course, now the man is seeing that what he thought was so is far from the truth. And he gave her some money to get home, and I think got back on the plane, and that was the end of it. So, communication, what's the most important thing? The most important thing is honesty. And the most important thing about honesty, every time you step back further and further and further to get yourself to the source, to where it all starts. And this is where it all starts. In here. In the heart. In here. In the mind. As you think, so it will be. As you feel, so it will be revealed. And that's one of the most important things. Then you get on to the mechanics of communication. How do you communicate? The first thing that you have to do when you communicate with someone is to be able to speak clearly and to be able to look in their eye, see if they're looking in your eye, and actually say something that means something to you and to them. So you have to find something that you can agree on. Now, if it's Monday morning when you meet, perhaps the most basic thing possible would be to say a happy Monday morning to you. Can he or she agree with that? I think so. Now, that's the lowest point on the staircase which takes us up step by step into a good relationship based on honesty. Now then, what do you find to talk about then? What are you interested in? What is she interested in? Now, how do you find that out? You listen. You listen. And how do you listen? You empty your mind of all the things that you're waiting to say, and you listen to what he or she is trying to share with you. And that's how you find out whether that person is the person that you would like to spend your life with. What do they believe? Are they on any kind of a path? There are many different kinds of paths to be on. You don't have to be on a path to greater spirituality. You don't have to be looking. You can actually be hoping to get a new car. You can actually be saving for a house. You can actually be hoping for any number of things which are on your path. Is it right or wrong to be focused completely on getting a new car or a motorcycle or a bicycle or a new clothes or a new hairdo or keeping your nails just right? No, it's not. Is it wrong to be thinking spiritually and not being concerned about those material things like having a house or a car that goes. No, it's not. The important thing is that you both share the idea of whatever it is that you want to be a priority. Now, don't kid yourself that because the girl is drop-dead gorgeous with legs that don't give up, no, don't concern yourself with, is the man wealthy? Is he good-looking? Does he have straight teeth? Don't concern yourself with any of that as the only thing that's important. It is important that the person that you are thinking of being with for the rest of your life looks beautiful in your eyes. Now, right from the word go, with Beth and I, we both said that neither of us is the most beautiful or handsome man or woman in the world. All that's important is that for me, Beth is a beautiful woman. And for her, well, I guess I should have paid for a better prescription on her glasses, because she actually thinks that I don't look so bad either. Now, that's the important thing. Now, after that, love can only make it better. And where does the love come from? The love comes from those basic mechanics of truth, loyalty, honesty. And how do they manifest? They manifest in how honest you are with what you do, how truthful you are in what you say, and in how loyal you are in your actions. And let me give you my own particular way of maintaining my honesty and my loyalty and my truthfulness to my wife. And this works for me, and it might work for you, or you might say, well, that's BS, and that's your right. This is what I do. I've learned this the hard way over many destroyed relationships which I've had during my life. I've learned it the hard way, and now this is how I behave. I try to interact with anyone of the opposite sex, because that's what we're really talking about when we talk about loyalty within a relationship. I try to behave, and in my actions, in my demeanor, in what I say, as if Beth were standing behind me, unbeknownst to me. And I ask myself, is what I'm doing or saying, would it offend my lovely wife, or would she feel comfortable with it? Would it reinforce her love for me and her belief in my love for her? And that's the measure of my behavior. And if there's another woman, beautiful or not, and in the Philippines, sorry, if you're of the mind that the Asian beauty is one which appeals to you, you will go out on a daily basis and you will see other women who may be superficially far more beautiful than the one that you have chosen to be with. Now, if that's your only criteria, boy, you're in trouble, because you will be tempted on a daily basis, and in fact almost on a minute-by-minute basis, if that's all that you're thinking. Now, that has worked for me, and it means that I can say that I'm honest, truthful, and loyal. I don't seek to have little microcosmic relationships with people that I see. Little meaningful looks, little, oh, if only the situation was different, you and I could... no, I don't do any of that. I really try not to do that. I'm not a saint, but every day, if there was a halo to polish up, I'd try and polish it up and make sure that it was in place, so that my relationship is based on a communication which is good. That's the way that I think. So communication is very important. And the real challenge on a long distance relationship is that you have to have had some parameters that you have worked within for deciding whether the woman, talking from the foreigner's point of view, but it works for the woman as well. You have to have had some parameters to guide you by. Now for me, when I met Beth, she said up front that she was a born-again Christian, that her whole family were born-again Christian, that she had a brother who was a pastor, that he had built his own church and was a solid man. Now, I haven't always found that Christians up to that point were exemplary people. I didn't find that at all. So that didn't immediately mean a lot to me. But it was better than if the woman said, I've been working in Angeles as a bar girl. So, where does the woman come from? Where does the man come from? What does he tell you? What does she tell you she likes to do? I met a lovely woman before I ever met Beth. I met a lovely woman who revealed to me fairly quickly that her ambition was to open and run a bar. Goodbye, goodbye. That was how I judged it. So when Beth wanted me to meet her mother, when she told me that her brother had cautioned her, if you love this man, it's going to be difficult if he doesn't share the same beliefs as you. And so she went into the relationship knowing that there were issues on that. Actually, there haven't been any issues, because I can accept the way that she is, and she can accept the way that I am. Of course, she keeps on saying that she's praying for my salvation. Can you hear that, cat? Golden! Shh! Psst! Be quiet! So, we worked around those issues, but we talked about them. We communicated about them, and we communicated honestly. We communicated with honesty, loyalty, and truthfulness, and we tried to work all of that out before we committed. But the committing part happened very fast, because I could see that what was there was what I would get. What I could see was what I would get. And it happened in the first few communications. They were meaningful communications. I said this on one of our other videos, that where it really started was when she texted me and asked me this question. She said, "Please be honest with me. Are you not already in a relationship? Because I am praying that you are the one." I think she said, "I'm looking for the one, and I'm praying that you are the one." And I thought that that was such a profound question that I was a goner from there on. And I texted her back and I said, I am not in a relationship, and I am not looking for many women. I'm looking for one. When I find the one, I will not betray her. And apparently that smacked of the truth for her too. And then, really, I don't even remember proposing. I don't know. Sometimes words just get in the way, don't they? So, has this been about communication? Well, I hope so. Some little snippets in there may have helped you in how to communicate. But probably we'll talk more on this subject because it's so important. Okay, so right now, thanks for listening. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines, and I hope you'll look in on us again.